how to design your life. But first of all, why should you design your life in the first place? It's actually pretty simple. So in order to experience a life that is more like how we want it to be, that life that we really want must first become real in the mind of the person that is trying to create that life. Otherwise, the odds of it actually happening is extremely low, next to none. So if you want to continue to not have what you want in your life, to leave things up to chance and not be in control of where you are going, which is the default mode for most people, including myself at one point, then you can just ignore listening to this and listen to something else today. Now, for those of you who want to start living the life you want to live deep down, be the person you want to be, have the connections you want to have and so on, there is a bulletproof way of getting there that all people who succeeded used before that I'm going to teach you today. So, no time to waste, let's get into it. The first thing I want you to understand is that we as humans are always creating our experience of life, for better or worse, through the things that we're always doing. The way that we think, take action, how we react, behave, and so on is what creates our situation in life and what we always experience. For a lot of people, it seems like they are a victim of their circumstances, and that's actually not true at all. Where you are in your life is a direct result of what keeps happening within you. It is how you keep responding to the world and its stimulation that makes you experience the same over and over, whether that is something great or something not so good, like no money, an abusive relationship, or even a bad habit like overthinking. Something that is very important to understand is that when you start designing your life, you start to become a conscious creator of your life. But what does that mean? Let's look at the opposite of being conscious, which is what most people are. So for most people, what they always think, do, and as a result experience is the same for the longest time because they've been running on unconscious programs that they picked up over the years based on the things that they learned in their past from all sorts of different experiences that they had. So an unconscious program is something that we do with little control over that is negative for us, like not believing in ourselves, procrastination, overthinking, addictions, being shy, not confident, and settling for less, to just name a few. Now, these are what I like to call success blocks, because they stop us from becoming the person that creates the life we want to live. These negative personality traits and bad habits that we have are the self-sabotage that is keeping us from really going where we want to go in life. They keep us from creating more of what we want to have, whether that is material things, love, friends, better relationships, and so on. Do you remember what I said in the beginning? We are always creating our life, for better or worse, and it doesn't matter if we've been aware of how we did it or not up until this point. In order to live a better life, whatever that means for you, you must first become the person that creates that life. There can be no other way. Your outside reality, your experience of life, is only a reflection of what is happening within you on a daily basis, because you're always manifesting your experience of life through what it is that you are always doing. I myself was also operating unconsciously most of my life, and I never had the sort of results that I wanted. I was living a life that I wasn't satisfied with. I wanted more out of life, and for things to always change in some way and get better. Because that is how a person that is run unconsciously always feels. Because we are lost to unconscious outcomes in our life that keeps us wanting more and more. And I kept feeling like that until I started this process that I'm now about to go a bit deeper on. So what now? We need to start the process of making things conscious instead, which is hard in the beginning because most of us have lived unconsciously our entire lives. But it all starts with one thing: your intention. It starts with you understanding that you've been unconscious in your life. Because after that, you can choose to start moving away from your unconscious path. And one important part of doing that is to create a vision of the future. In this podcast today, I will touch on two fundamental things. The most important things that you need to understand to move from unconscious victim to your circumstances to conscious creator of your circumstance. And those two things are: number one, creating a blueprint, a vision of your future self and life, which is really important, and we'll get more to it in a little bit. And number two, how to release the old programs, the success blocks that you have right now that keep you from being that person that you want to be, that keeps you from experiencing the life you want to have. I can tell you that releasing the program that you have right now is the most challenging and also the most important by far. Without first doing this, you cannot move into the person that you want to be or the life that you want to have. So before we look at number one, let's first understand how you create the programs that you have now, the success blocks. Let's say that you are shy as an example, or don't stand up for yourself and let people walk all over you. Those are two very big success blocks. All that those two things are, at their core, is trauma response to something you went through in your past and never learned to process. You see, a human is not naturally shy, insecure, or inclined to have addictions or have negative thoughts, to name just a few success blocks that you could be having. These negative personality traits are not truly who you are at your core. It's just something that you picked up to get by as you learned to interpret the world as you grew up based on what happened around you. Now, in order to create a program that you are operating on, there must be an event or events, something that happened that triggered a very strong emotion within you at one point in your life. That is what trauma is, a strong emotion that is hard to deal with. This is very important to understand. Your programming today, what you are doing, is a result of what you learned from your environment as you grew up. And there are two opposite things, two outcomes that you could have learned. You could have learned how to process and feel your traumatic emotions and in so work them out and release them as they occur within you. Now, this means no negative programs or success blocks are being created because there is nothing to fuel them, because you have resolved the emotional pull that is creating success blocks. If you have success blocks, on the other hand, if your life is not as you want it to be, your environment failed in some way to teach you this. Perhaps you have a mother that doesn't listen, or that is yelling a lot, a narcissist, or whatever it is. These are just some random examples. The traumas that created your own success blocks could have arrived in a million different ways. So why am I mentioning this? Because when you can't process traumatic things, you are forced to create a program that takes your attention away from the emotion of that traumatic thing that happened. And why do we do that? So we do it to try and avoid whatever caused us to feel like this from ever happening again. It could be speaking up loudly when you were a kid and you realize that your parents react strongly, and so now you start adopting a people-pleasing and shy personality instead. It could be overthinking our actions, being insecure, or something completely different. Now, don't focus too much on the examples that I'm giving you, because these are just random and could be relevant to anyone. Everyone is different, of course, and your story is not like someone else's. The important takeaway here is that your success blocks are built on traumatic emotions that you're unconscious of even exist at this point. And that is because you push them away and never learn how to process them and deal with them. I want you to understand that success blocks are not who you truly are deep down. It's just part of a character that you created to have the perception that you are safe in the world. Now, the tricky thing with the unconscious mind is that we are not aware of the fact that we are someone who is truly not who we are. I sit here talking to you today fully aware that unconscious things are still going on within me as well, that I was unaware of for a long time and that I thought was who I really was. Just today, just 30 minutes ago, or like literally 5 minutes ago, from starting this episode here today, I was going through a freaking meltdown of realizing that there was a part of me that I have been for so long that was holding me back that I didn't see for what it was. And we all do it. If you have success blocks and negative programming, it means that you have taught and conditioned your body to not feel the trauma anymore of whatever it is that you have gone through in your life. The way that we teach the body to not feel the pain that happened is by developing a negative program to always be engaged in. This is what makes the trauma unconscious to you over time. But it's still there under the surface and still fuel for the program that started it, even though you might not be aware of it. The programs you have are an escape mechanism designed to take you away from pain. That is the job of the subconscious mind. It takes you away from the pain of your trauma that is forever stored in your body. That is until you learn to feel it again and process it through feeling it. We as humans are naturally whole, complete, confident and sure of ourselves and able to create amazing lives and live amazing lives. That's our natural state. Now society, friends, family and so on, our environment, just separated us from being that way because of the beliefs they made us create over our lives. The only way to go back to the more authentic version of who we are and become successful in creating the life we want to live is to learn to reconnect to the trauma of the things that creates the success blocks we are stuck with right now. Because they are what separates us from that naturally empowered version that we so deeply are otherwise. Releasing your current programming that blocks your success is about learning to connect to your body again and experience the trauma of the things you went through that are lying unconscious beneath the surface. When this happens, you remove the fuel for the fire that is your success blocks. The overthinking will go away, the people pleasing will go away. You not taking action on what you should be doing will go away. You not believing in yourself, all of those things that is what creates your reality in a negative way will stop being there. Now the funny thing is that trying to feel the trauma is the opposite of what we try to do our entire lives. Because most people, like myself also at one point, lived my entire life unconsciously disconnecting myself from the emotions of my body through a negative program that always kept my attention away from those emotions, so that they became unconscious in the process. Some people are addicted to drugs, work, overthinking, shopping, or people pleasing. Some can't say no and some can't stop saying yes. We're all unique. Our negative programs are all unique. Now here are some good news for you about all of this. The body is always naturally trying to heal itself and process the traumatic emotions that are within you. It's just that you have currently programmed yourself to never allow yourself to do it. So you might notice that on some days you need your distractions even more. You might use dating apps a lot more. Maybe you need to go out partying. Maybe you overthink more than normal. Maybe you feel insecure more than ever. You might need to improve yourself and prove yourself desperately. Maybe you work a lot harder and longer than normal. Whatever your negative program is. Some days it will be more severe. And that is depending upon how triggered your emotional state is and the trauma that exists within your state of being, because it is what fuels you to go deeper into your distractions. So what is the option here? Well, you either continue to dive deeper into your negative programs as you always have, or finally, you choose to be conscious and start the process of becoming conscious of the trauma so you can heal it and release the success blocks that hold you back. Now, how can you do that? Well, all that really means is that you develop a habit of consciously spotting when you're in a program and to stop engaging yourself in it and sit with what you're feeling instead. Now, this is easier said than done in the beginning, and at first you might still be fully unconscious of what it is that's happening, what it is that you're feeling, even if you try and do nothing. Because it is so out of reach for you at this moment because of the way that you've been treating your body your entire life by trying to desensitize it to all of these things and running from it. But I can tell you that the more you start doing it, the more you will condition your body to feel emotions again instead of escaping them anymore. And you are gonna start experiencing them with time. You can think of it like playing the guitar. You suck at it in the beginning, but eventually you start getting good at it, and after a while it becomes natural, and you don't even have to think about what you're doing anymore to play really good music, because it's just what you do. Now in this case, the guitar is your body, and releasing success blocks that are not in your highest good is what you become a natural and good at doing. All I can say is that you need to be patient here. In the description of this podcast, I have shared a quick 30-minute course from my website that I highly recommend if you want to get started with this process of releasing trauma and success blocks. Now that we understand what created your negative programs and how to get rid of them, it's time to imagine our future selves. Step number 1. And the person that we want to become, as it is now going to slowly be possible to become this person as we are learning to move away from this version of ourselves that previously held us back. Now I want you to write down and imagine what it would be like to live your ideal day. Where are you? What people are with you? How does it feel to interact with these people? How do they treat you? What are you doing this day? Are you working on something or just enjoying yourself? How does it feel to be who you are? Are you confident? Are you passionate? Are you humble? What does your day look like if it is exactly the way you want it to be? But more important than that, how does it feel to be this person? The reason why we are doing this is that we need to become intentional or conscious about where we are headed. This dream day and the version of yourself that you are going to now start imagining will serve as a blueprint for your future that you will fall more into as you start moving away simultaneously from this previously limited version of yourself that used to hold you back. It is so important that we allow ourselves to believe that we can have more in life, because if you don't believe that, then it's never gonna happen. So you need to give yourself permission to dream big and to see that the only thing that is stopping me from really entering into the life of my dreams is my own negative beliefs. You can do anything in this world, and it is so easy when you align yourself with what it is that you need to experience within yourself to make that happen. And this is part of that next step. This dream day that you are now creating and imagining is something that you are going to practice and save into your mind by visualizing how it would be to be that person and to live that life. Now, why do you do it? Do you remember how your success blocks were created because of things that happened to you in your past that made you feel traumatic emotions? You were acting in a certain way because of a way that you were feeling traumatically. Well, now we are going to start creating more uplifting experiences of our own choosing and more uplifting emotions and allow those to influence and program us in the same way. Who we are as a person, our thoughts, actions, attitude, behavior and so on are always influenced by our emotional state, which is the fuel for our personality. So the reason why we visualize a future where we experience much more uplifting emotions is so that we can connect more deeply to those emotions and become the person that creates the life we want to live. So using your imagination to visualize and experience the emotions of your future self will help you to wire yourself into the person right now that is your future self. And this is possible because the brain can't tell the difference between what is happening within your imagination and in real life. It will react in the exact same way. And you will become more of that future person in the present moment right now as you start to imagine and feel like that person. Remember that you are always creating your life for better or worse through the things that you are doing right now. It's the quality of the things that you are doing in the present moment that creates your future. And now we are learning to adopt the characteristics of your future self in the present moment through visualization. which will eventually lead you to your desired future as you start manifesting it from being that person in the future, but in the present moment right now. Now, the most important part about doing a visualization is to truly try and feel the emotions of your visualization as you go about every step of it. That is the key. Now, I recommend doing a visualization just 1 to 2 minutes every day for at least a month to really save this blueprint of your future self into the background of who you are, so you are always moving toward it as you learn to release more of your past self over time at the same time. Starting to live your dream life goes very fast if you are a match for that life. What does that mean? If you are not getting results from your visualization and moving closer to that life that you want to have, it means that you still need to get rid of lower emotions within your emotional state, because you are still too heavily tied to your old version and its unconscious habits. Whether you are aware of those or not, it doesn't matter. You're still too tied to the success blocks that make you manifest a lesser reality than the one that you are visualizing. I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Make sure that you check out my 30-minute course on my website if you want to get started with releasing your success blocks. It's totally free, so you should definitely check it out. I'll see you guys in my next podcast. Bye, and have a good day.